Hello and welcome back to the Ask an Introvert podcast. I'm Jennifer Ho, your host and life coach for introverts. Okay, last episode, episode 29, we talked about what I went through when celebrating myself felt really cringe and how I landed on the biggest, most luxurious birthday celebration that I could plan for myself. And that was a private cooking class and dinner party hosted at a chef's home in San Francisco. And so this episode, we're going to talk about the week leading up to it, how it went down, and afterwards, how I felt. I don't think we'll go in that order because where it's now after the party, it's been 6 days, and I am really glad that I went for it. I'm really, really, really glad that I went for it. And here's the biggest thing that I learned. So, if you tune into the last episode, you know that one of the things I was worried about is if my friends would get along with each other, if they would like each other. And I can tell you right now that that should not have been a concern at all, and it will not be a concern in the future for me. But what I learned about myself was that the real fear was that each of my friends were going to see sides of me that they had not seen before. And not because I hide it on purpose, but just naturally with different people, different parts of me are going to show up. So I was like, oh, will my online friends be surprised at how rambunctious I can be with my university friends? That's more of what I was afraid of. I wasn't afraid of my friends not liking each other. I was afraid of them not liking parts of me that they had not seen before. And I find that so funny of my brain, of my inner world, because for me, I am so happy when I get to see more sides of my friends. I feel that I get to know more of them, that they're more comfortable with me, and it just feels like a blessing. And I did not give myself that same kind of grace. But through this birthday party, this huge celebration, I feel that I inadvertently created a space where I was able to be my whole self, like all of me. So when I was planning, I was like, okay, like, how do I make this more Jennifer, right? Well, even on the day of, I was still leaving space open for that. Like at the party, I actually assigned homework. Everyone had to record a one-on-one video with me, and they get to decide what it is we're doing in the video. And so, if you've been on Instagram, you've seen this recap. I made a highlight reel, and every guest who was there has a video clip with me where we did something that they chose, whether it was a love shot or dancing to look like the little thing on the pressure cooker as it's steaming. And this homework really just originated from, so like I had shown up and two friends and my sister came with me. So the four of us were already in the space. So the next person to arrive was my one friend from high school. And I decided on the spot that this friend, I was going to spin hug them. And I wanted that on video. And from then on, I was like, okay, now everyone has to do something too. And yeah, I just owned it. I gave my friends homework on my birthday, and that is quintessentially me. So I mentioned it was late December when I already knew the guest list was finalized. And then the week of, I sent the list to the chef and then we figured out the menu. And and so along the way, this wasn't just like a one evening celebration. It became a little bit bigger or maybe a lot bigger. So the friend who flew in from her speaking event, who's actually based in Singapore. She stayed with me ahead of the event. And then I'm talking to this other friend who's gonna fly into Sacramento from SoCal. And so before this birthday party, I'm actually hosting two people in my home. And so it's like I get this bonus dream come true too. Like, okay, I'm not hosting a whole dinner party at my home, but I get to be hospitable to my friends in my own home. And yeah, so I was quite social leading up to this big party. So I was really, really, really stretching my capacity here. But this friend from Singapore, I knew would be okay because every time that we've traveled together, spent time together, like we're just aligned in terms of energy. And so I got to experience like a few calming days with her. She also brought the outfit for me that I wanted to wear for this dinner party because it's from a brand called Love Bonito. And I had actually tried on that outfit last year when I was in Singapore. And at that time, it was available in white, black, and this like lime green. And I wasn't in love with any of those. And so I was like, okay, I can't get this. But they have got to make it in red because I love everything about it besides the color. So if it was in red, it would be perfect for me. And so it came out in red and I posted about it and this friend offered to pick it up in Singapore and bring it to me. I was like, you don't need to pick it up. I'm just going to order it shipped to you and then you can bring it to me. And so Tuesday, I try on the outfit and it's like so perfect. And then Wednesday, it's a work day. So just like on Tuesday, I worked. And it's also, what else did I do? I printed my vision board, so I went to pick it up. And this friend from Singapore and I, we have a mutual friend who lives like an hour away. So we go get dinner with that friend. And we have a delicious and wholesome dinner, and we're also happy for each other. And I'm starting to feel a little tired. But there's no time to rest because on Thursday we pick up the friend from SoCal from the Sacramento airport, and then I go get a haircut, and then I get a facial. So the facial is really my rest because even my Aura Ring fitness tracker picked that up as a nap, and I then went to Korean barbecue, KBBQ, with these two friends who are spending the night with me for dinner. And then that night we stay up late because one is taking a call in Asia, and then the other two of us are just watching K-dramas. And none of this feels draining, but I do start to worry a little bit about my social capacity for Saturday because Friday, my sister is picking us up and we're driving to wine country to do a sparkling wine tasting out there and get dinner out there, spend the night there before we drive into San Francisco for the dinner party. So, like I said, this really big thing did become bigger in different ways. So I knew I was going to have the fancy private cooking class and dinner, but here I'm adding on a girls' trip and I'm hosting friends in my place. And it all feels really nice. Like I'm like, wow, my heart just feels so full. Well, then Saturday rolls around. Saturday, the day of the fancy party, the big celebration, the bold, audacious spotlight on this introvert. I'm like, holy shit, it's here. I started to get anxious, and I was also like pretty sad that it would all be over soon. Like first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh man, it's already here. It's gonna be over soon. What am I gonna do? Like, how will I feel? I'm already sad now. And so I know it's gonna start at 5 p.m. and I start getting ready around 3. And at some point along the way, I decided I was going to wear false eyelashes for this event. So as you know, I'd already decided on the outfit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do more makeup than usual. I'm gonna do my hair, and then I'm gonna wear these falsies. I don't know when I'm going to really learn the lesson on this one, but I wear them like once a year, so I have no practice applying them. But I don't know if this is like a lot of self-trust or just like pure like ignorance. I end up stressing myself out putting these on because it just wouldn't go on correctly on one eye. Like left eye, perfect, great. Right eye, I just kept messing around with it. And so it's up till the point that we need to leave that I'm still working on this. And I just really stressed myself out for no reason. I felt like putting on the falsies made me more stressed than planning the event itself, like hyping myself up to actually do it. But alas, we got them on and we headed to the dinner party. And as I'm walking up the stairs into the chef's private home, I just like, wow, is real. Like that morning, I was like, holy shit, the day is here. And that moment on the stairs, I was like, oh my God, once she opens the door and lets me in, this is it. This is it. And that pre-sadness dissipated, and I was just really excited. Really, really, really excited. And the chef opens a door. She's this gorgeous human being who's just radiating with this warm, kind energy. And I'm like, I really picked the right person. And then I get a glimpse of her home, and I'm like, wow, this is like way better than what my best friend described to me. And I'm just like in awe. And I'm also like, there's this voice in my head that's like, we did this, we did this, we did this. So that's the energy. And really, that evening, like every time I took notice of how full my heart felt, I was like, there's no way my heart could feel more full than this. But then it would expand and I would feel even more grateful. I would feel even more joy. It was really cool to see my friends of different seasons of my life interact with each other, get along. And as I was jumping around from various groups and pods and just outwardly displaying more of myself in this room, I was like, wow, like this is really a space where I am my whole self. Because when I'm with, say, the friend from Singapore, I'm not like bopping around and dancing, but when I'm with my high school friend, we're the ones who did the spin hugging and all of that. And because all of these people support me in different ways and they're here to celebrate me, like I feel like everything, like all the stories that I had with them started to come together. And so I also created a second highlight reel on Instagram where I talk about how friends are like different ingredients to the recipe of life. And it just felt so right for me to, have these activities and have all these people together in one space because I love food and I love friends. I I know those two things sound basic, but really, I even joked with my friends that the criteria to make the guest list was that you had to be a foodie first and a friend second. The way that I approach my life, I got to share that with all of these friends because I would say that a good amount of them probably would not have done this cooking class out of their own volition. And I felt that by being friends with me that they then get exposed to this other world. And, in this case, it was a Korean cooking class, and we made haemul pajeon, which is a seafood pancake, kalbijim, which is braised beef ribs, and kimchi mandu, which is dumplings. And I just feel like, okay, we've all probably tried these things, but never really thought about how it came together or what makes it really good, or like what's the traditional way of making it as opposed to like the mass-produced version that we might get in restaurants. And it's like, oh, okay, let me gather my thoughts on this. I'm a bougie person, and I've always appreciated an elevated experience. And, if it really came down to it and I had to choose, like, I would rather choose good food and no ambiance as opposed to bad food in a nice space. But, like, here, I felt like I got the best of everything. And for the friends who wouldn't choose this on their own, it it makes me feel good to inspire them to stretch themselves as well. And and the more I think about this, this is a very, very Jennifer thing to do. Like everything about this was, I guess, Jennifer coded. And I I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that I created this and that these friends showed up for me, each in their own way and in their own capacity. And to friends who couldn't make it or friends who did not get invited, it's like I feel the same way about those people too, though. And so if there was anything that made me sad is that I could not include more people, but I do like from the introvert lens need to think about like how that would look and feel if the event were longer, if it was more people, and so on. And maybe something like that would require like a more conventional life event. I don't know. Now I feel like I'm kind of off track again, but to take us back to during the event, right? Let's see, I shared about what my fear really was. It wasn't about my friends getting along, it was about if they would like different parts of me. And I'm happy to report that my friends said that they were happy to meet the other parts of me. And one person, one individual in particular said, in her words, Jennifer has so much range. And I was like, oh, like, I think sometimes, like us as humans existing in our day-to-day lives, even we don't notice how much range we have because we're operating in this routine, in these, like, not necessarily limits or conditions, but there are like kind of like just staying in this lane, and that's what we're familiar with. And we don't necessarily practice everything that we are capable of, everything that is our identity, everything that is who we are. And so I I'm proud to hear that, and I'm grateful that I've made friends that I have a future with throughout every stage of my life. Like even people that I wouldn't expect when I had met them to be my friends today, we are friends now. And I think that is really special. In terms of the actual cooking class, chef was great. The dinner was amazing, and I knew there would be some kind of dessert, but I also kind of knew that my best friend was gonna bring dessert, and she did. There's this beautiful cake with sobacha frosting, which is like a buckwheat tea, and it's so good. And the cake was chocolate, and they just paired so well. And then the tea that chef served us during dessert also went well with the cake. And yeah, just everything went well. I think if there was anything I was a bit awkward about is that while we were seated for dinner, everyone did want to know how I met each individual. So I kind of jumped around the table and I definitely included everyone. But even now, there's a voice in my head that's like, oh, you should have been prepared for that. It's fine. Yeah. So, in my Jennifer way, I did write something up in the car ride into San Francisco that I thought might be a good toast. And I sent that after the event as a love letter to my friends. And I've decided I'm going to share that on my Instagram at some point as well. Now, after the dinner party, oh my goodness, that night I didn't sleep. I was like trying to sleep and then midnight came around and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna edit videos. And so between 12 and 2 a.m., I made the highlight reel with the individual video clips that I had filmed with every guest. I'm honestly still recovering from that all-nighter. Like I know how to have good sleep, but I really was just so excited, so much adrenaline. I did have a couple drinks at the dinner party, but I don't think that alone was it. Like that could not have been it. It may have contributed along with the adrenaline, but yeah, I did not sleep. And then Sunday I napped and then I still hung out with people. Monday I dropped everybody off at the airport that needed that. And then by Monday night, I was back home in my apartment by myself because my other sister is traveling. And I just felt a huge crash and I felt really low. And whenever I do something, especially in a social capacity that is just more, I know now to anticipate this crash, this feeling of sadness. And it really sucks when I'm feeling it. But now I know that if I process it and I give it attention instead of trying to suppress it, that it really does pass. Tuesday, I still felt a little down. Wednesday, things started to feel normal again. And Thursday was a chill, relaxing day. And, now it's Friday and I'm recording this episode. I feel like I'm going to have some more learnings from this, but right now, I think that besides the lessons that I was reinforcing for myself, this whole experience has really opened my eyes to how, while I feel like I have more than enough in this life, it's safe and okay for me to ask for more. And I may get even better than what I can imagine in the first place. So, whatever it is you want in your life, I encourage you to go after it, to be relentless, to be bold, to dream bigger, because while you can love the life you already have, when you stretch yourself for all these things, you can have even more of what you love. And what a wonderful life is that. All right, that is it for today. If you've been wanting to cultivate self leadership for yourself to make things easier for you as you create your dream life, I am accepting new clients into the Take Root into Self Leadership program. You can book your complimentary discovery call at the link in the show notes to get started. And if there's anything about the topics we've discussed in the last episode or this episode, or something else you want to ask me and get my thoughts on through the podcast, send me a DM on Instagram or submit it anonymously at byjenniferho.com/askanintrovert. All right, I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Bye.